to everyone. In this lesson we will learn the basics of Python and begin exploring some of the different data types such as strings, integers, floats, booleans, and null types. The most common data types in Python are strings, integers, and floats. So in this slide you will see that integers could be the numbers or floats, while word or text could be the string. Let's go over them and explain them in practice. I will open my git bash command prompt here. I will type in Jupyter notebook, click enter. Why do I use this notebook? Because it's a very useful tool and I suggest to everyone to use this one. It basically opens all of your folders which are located in these default paths here, C users and Acer. Here, if you remember, I have created the Python folder, and here I will create a new folder called lesson. I will check in, click on rename, type in lessons. After going to this folder, I will create a Python text file here. It will start to create my file, and from now we will discuss different expressions and data types in Python. We will name this file as let's expressions, so name it like that, and we'll save your file as expressions IPNB. And let's start with integers. You know that integers can be negative or positive ones, like this one. This one's a negative one. Zoom it a bit. Yes, this one are the positive ones. You will see after clicking Alt and Enter, you will print the result. First, what we should know or identify the types of these integers. Let's type in type function, and inside of type function we will just print something here. You could see that it has printed out integer. You know, basically all the numbers, negative or positive numbers, including the 0, have the data type int, and you should know this clearly. But if you have a float number or number with the decimal points like this one, you should know that this type, the type of these numbers will be the float. Let's type in something here, and let's identify the data type of this decimal number. You will see that the data type will be float. Float basically represents the numbers with the decimals here. But in programming languages, especially in Python, you can convert the data types, which is called the typecasting. In other one, before moving to the typecasting, we have one more data type called string. If I just type something here, click enter, you will see that it has or type something hello, it has the data type string. But what is called typecasting? We just convert or cast different data types to each other. How should we do that? We are just converting integer to floats. For example, let's start by converting integer to floats, floats to integer, string to integer, etc. Let's see that we have a number 5, right? And we want to convert this 5 to the float. How should we do this? First, we know that if I even surround this in the type function and click enter, it will print int, because we already know that all positive and negative numbers have the int data type. But if I want to convert this to float, I would need to surround this with the float function and click enter, and it will print out 5.0. It will add just the decimal point here and represent it as a decimal number here, as a float number. If I just type in type again inside of this float and click enter, you will see that it prints out the data type as a float for this 5 number here. But if we cast float to integer, we would lose the decimal information. It's basically going to round up your number here. Let's say that we have a decimal number 2.3, but we want to convert it to the integer. In order to convert it, we will put the function name here in front of the number and click enter. You'll see that it will round up this number. It does not matter 2.6 or 2.9. It will convert this number before the decimal point, this one, 2. And it will just skip or leave through all these numbers here after the decimal points. Small note here, in Python, list separators for floating numbers are periods, and don't confuse these periods with commas. If instead of a dot you will put a comma and click enter, you will have an error here, or semicolon, it will not work again. Always use dot as a list separator here. And now let's cast text strings to integer. If we want to convert or cast text to the integer, how should we do that? We should just write in 5. Let's say that we have a text here, 5 caps, right? And we know that it has a text extension or data types of this string is a text, even if we just write in the type function and surround it with scopes and check, you will see that it has a str data type. But if we want to convert this to the integer or float, will we be able to do that? Let's check it. After type, if I open the scope, click enter and close the scope and click enter, you will see that we will have what? An error. Why? Because we have this text combined with this number. But if we want to just cast or convert your string data type to the integer, you should be know that this text should not be presented here. Only numbers will be available, and if your string contains any character or word inside of these brackets, you will not be able to convert or cast it to the integer or float. But if you have spaces or only numbers here, you will easily convert it. The same applies also for float. If we type in the function float and here instead of 5 we have 5.4, you will see that although it has brackets and it has a string data type here, it will automatically convert it to float. But if we add something here and click enter, it will not convert it. It will print out the error. So you will be able to convert string to text only in that case as if you have only the numbers inside of your brackets here. And one more note here, if you pay attention when I just run it, I can either click on this button or this icon, run icon here. Sometimes I have a Russian version of this, but don't worry, just pay attention to this icon. Or I will just easily click on Alt plus Enter and run it. But when I just use this command, these new lines are going to be appeared, but at the end I just delete them and get rid of this problem. But during my work it's very easy to use the shortcut for running these lines. Okay, we know that how to convert the number to float to numbers, and text to float, text to numbers, and now we can convert the integer to float or to a string. How should I do this? Basically, this also is the same. If we just type in the function name str and write something here, 4, you'll see that it will convert 4 to the text. And the same applies for the decimal points too, right? You could see that it has converted this number which are inside of these scopes without these brackets. if it is inside of these brackets without these scopes, it basically has the positions of integer or floats because it's not inside of these brackets here. And if we are adding this function str, it just surrounds these brackets and converts it to text. And boolean is another important type in Python. The boolean type also has one or two possible values, which is intended to represent the two truth values of logic. Let's type in, for example, when do we use it? We usually use the booleans in if or else conditions. Maybe we will explain them in the future practically, but for now it's enough to just understand the basic terminology. If I will just type in true, you will see that this type is the boolean. If I type in boolean and 1, it will print out true. Basically true corresponds to 1, while false corresponds to 0 here. You will see that this is the boolean function, and here if I type in print 0, it will print out false. Make sure that when you are using true or false boolean types, the first letter is always uppercase. Also, we have a null function, but in Python null function is just renamed or used by the none. Let's see that we have a name. We will explain these variables. I just create a variable called none. In the next lesson I will explain what's a variable and how do we use it. And I want to check out if this variable exists or no. If I type in name is none and click enter, you will see that it will print out no true. Basically it says that this variable does not contain anything. It is not containing any value. But if instead of the none I will put in something here, let's see, Mike, and click enter, you'll see that it will print out the false because it contains some value inside of this variable, and if I just assign it as a none, it results as a false. If I added it not, it will print out the true. You'll see this none function is also considered as a null function here. In the next lesson we will cover the variables. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day. Subscribe to my channel. Bye.